How can I get gvim to display the character count of the current file? I like to write tutorials and articles for a programming forum I frequent. This forum has a character limit per post. I've used Notepad++ in the past to write posts, and it keeps a live character count in the status bar. I'm starting to use gvim more, and I really don't want to go back to Notepad++ at this point, but it is very useful to have this character count. If I go over the count, I usually end up pasting the post into Notepad++ so I can see when I've trimmed enough to get by the limit. I've seen suggestions that column set ruler would help, but this only gives the character count via the current column index on the current line. This would be great if I didn't use paragraph breaks, but I'm sure you'd agree that reading several thousand characters in one paragraph is not comfortable. I read the help and thought that ruler format would work, but after looking over the status line format it uses, I didn't see anything that gives a character count for the current buffer. I've seen that there are plugins that add this, but I'm still dipping my toes into gvim, and I'm not sure I want to load random plugins before I understand what they do. I'd prefer to use something built into Vim, but if it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. What should I do to accomplish my goal? If it involves a plugin, do you use it, and how well does it work?
Press Ctrl-G in normal mode to display some statistics on the cursor and the file. If you are in Linux/Mac, you can use gvim to get the character count of the current file. Since it is not updated in real time, maybe you want to map this command to something like as pointed out by Architectonic in another answer. You can pipe the current file into gvim so that unsaved edits are taken into account.
Suggest that you could either do a dry run of a replace all, which then reports back the number of matched chars, or that you do a fancy string on the visually selected text. Is the unnamed register. Since you can call an expression in your status line like %myfunc, that might be a good starting point. Counting all the time could be a bit time consuming since you would have to select the whole text and then yank it, but maybe showing the number of bytes in the register is okay for you already. If you really want to know the number of chars in the buffer, just visually select all the text in the buffer and yank it. So, the solution would be, which gives you the number of chars in the register, which is identical to the number of bytes if you select and yank the current buffer.
An enhancement to the answer of Mrachi. You can use gvim on Linux without having to save the file first by directing the ":w" command output as follows. And you can map it to something as mentioned by Mrachi.
Gives you, which is also a good workaround for your problem. Just go to the end of the buffer with G, and the byte number shown in your status line is the number of chars, not true with multi-byte chars of course. Go back to where you came from with crow.